I see the Padawan needs one last lesson.
Well, it's been a while since we've done this program over here. Good afternoon, happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to Ed Talk. My name is Jay Edgar, and for the next hour, this program is dedicated to you, the viewer. Now, as I usually do when I have Ed Talk, is we sit down, we have a topic that we're going to discuss while we're waiting for more comments to come in. And I am invited, because of a Twitter trend that I saw over on Friday, my good friend John from the Porch Boys over to come and discuss. What I saw was just, it's kind of interesting, it's kind of entertaining, and while it is, I think, somewhat political in nature, not the kind of politics that we usually discuss on this show, because it's the politics of a fictitious universe here. So before we get into any of that, John, welcome over to Ed Talk. I don't know that I've ever actually had a guest on Ed Talk before.
Well, I'm honored to be the first. Honored to be your first. I don't think I've ever been on Ed Talk either, so it's a mutual first, it seems.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever actually had a guest for this before. It's definitely an interesting concept, and for the posterity, because I don't know if we've got a lot of people piled in to talk yet. Why not tell posterity what you're here for, what you do, and where you come from, and then in a little bit we'll talk about why I chose you for this as well. But what is it? What do you do? What's your online position, and how many times you've been kicked off Twitter?
So I am, of course, the cleverest, the sexiest, and the most charming member of the Porch Boys podcast, which we stream live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, except for when we don't, and we do it on Fridays instead. But it will always be at 9 p.m. Eastern. And so we just kind of have fun. I get a little tipsy and look at some memes, make fun of some articles, and watch some funny videos with you guys. Hang out with you guys on the porch. It's a lot of fun. Recommend you going and checking it out. I am also the Porch Boys has its own Twitter account, which I hope that is linked. I'm not sure. And then I also have my own personal Twitter account. It's at John_Archist. That's the one that Ed was referring to being nuked. But it's all right. I did a little stint in Twitmo, but I'm back, still readjusting to life on the outside. But I'm taking it day by day. Hopefully, things will be back to normal soon.
Well, I don't have anything linked yet because, as we were talking about off mic, I managed to have a stream scheduled for 5:30 and wake up at 5:08 today. I had a bout of insomnia last night, and I always on Saturday, no matter what I do, because I do occasionally stream on Saturday, not so much anymore, but I do occasionally stream on Saturday. I have an alarm set for 4 because that gives me enough time to go and get my bearings straight and everything ready to go for the stream that's coming up. Well, I managed to pass out again and sleep until 5:08 today.
Yeah, you look dangerously, it seems.
There's some other stuff that we talked about off mic that I can't really admit to because
Right.
OSHA and everything off of that. So I do kind of live a little bit dangerously, but not in the same way.
Right. Yeah, we definitely seem so. Definitely.
Now, I tapped you for this because of a series that you did between the two shows that that you've been a part of as we've gone through, while your former co-host disappeared and your new co-host decided to come in and materialize for you. You had done a series of different talks and different topics about the religion of, I believe it was a couple different races for Star Wars. I don't think it was just one. I think it was a couple of them.
Yeah, I did. I believe I did Jedi and Sith, and then no, I think Mandalorian culture was different. I think I did one on Mandalorian culture. I think I did kind of a comparison of Jedi and Sith religions, and then maybe touched on a few like ones that were off to the side. I would have to rewatch. It's been like what, year and a half or so.
Yes.
I would have to go those.
Yeah, something into the neighborhood of that. But I mean, you've dug probably even a little bit deeper into the culture than I have, including some of the written works and possibly some of the televised works that I myself have not seen yet. But with that, I mean, most of what I'm going to bring forward for this is what came off the movie, the original 9 movies, whichever ones we consider canon or not.
First 6.
New trilogy.
The first 6 and Rogue One is okay. We can keep that one.
Well, and the Clone Wars too, and I think what we saw in that really did carry a lot of weight to this. So you may have something that came out of a novel, something that Disney may have struck as, oh, well, we didn't acquire this, so this isn't canon anymore. This didn't actually happen anymore, stuff like that. From what I understand, they did a lot of that.
Well, so what happened was originally they stripped everything that was in what was called the Extended Universe. At that time, they just got rid of everything. They said none of it is canon anymore. And then as they put new stuff out, then things became canonized later on. Yeah, so like some things were not canon, then they became canon. Disney Wars is a fucking disaster. There's no need for it. I do not accept their canon. It's not okay. No.
Let's see. What do we have going before we get into and talk about some of what happened here? Let's have a look here. Randy Crush Saga is here. What up, party people? KTZed is here. Popping in to say hi before I head next door to drink. Well, share the story with us. Maybe we'll get some questions off of this.
Here and drink.
or get some of the people in on that.
Yeah.
Randy says, I want to talk about how Obi-Wan was able to beat Darth Maul when he got angry after failing with 2 versus 1. Jedi are supposed to be better with their minds focused. Sith are supposed to be more powerful and chaotic. Fanning is just sharing on Twitter.
That'd be cool, yeah. Go ahead.
Fanning is just sharing on Twitter, catching a few minutes. Catch the rest tomorrow. So he'll catch the replay off of this. So if he has any questions, unfortunately, they won't be there to get answered. But if you do, you're going to, at some point throughout the stream here, see some links that are going through the chat as well. If you do want to have more of a discussion with us, you are in my Discord, so you can find both of us on the Twitter. We've got the link to your Twitter as well and my Twitter. We can keep this discussion going, even after hours, even after the stream is done, if you have any more questions about this or what it is that we know here. Randy says, I called BS on that. So, Let's talk about how Obi-Wan was able to beat Darth Maul when he got angry after failing with 2 versus 1.
Right. So like I don't think it was that he was angry. I think that he was obviously, devastated. I think that would be the case. So he might have, channeled that into, being able to defeat Darth Maul. While they failed 2 versus 1, even though those two were very, very close, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, they were very, very close. And any kind of, sword fighting that I've done in the past, when I've done like HEMA and stuff, having people on teams, they generally tend to get in each other's way more than you would 1 versus 1. Not that, 2 people can't overpower 1, because of course you can, right? But, we're talking about Jedi, we're talking about, basically a fantasy universe. But yeah, so they tend to kind of get in each other's way. You can't do certain things that you might be. You can't be anywhere you want to be because you have to look out for the other guy as well, not hitting them. Like it's just there's a lot that would go into it. So I think that once Qui-Gon dies, that gives him all that motivation, that focus that he's able to channel his emotion into, and then being able to overpower Maul, who is probably shocked by the sudden, addition in power against just one person.
Well, and I think
double-bladed
with
lightsaber is a really dumb design. Like, it's just really dumb.
One of the things that I look at too with that is the fact that yes, as Randy pointed out, with this the Jedi are supposed to be able to focus themselves and work their best in the absence of emotion. But at the scene that he's talking about, Obi-Wan was pretty young. He was still a student at that point. He was about to go take the trials, but you get to a point even in your real life where even if you've taught yourself how to focus better in the absence of emotion, once you throw a little bit of raw emotion into something, the adrenal glands start going, you start pumping, and
right.
You
and
lift up a.
Perfect.
What's that?
And Jedi weren't perfect, right? Like they're supposed to, stay away from strong emotions, but that doesn't mean that they always do. They're not always successful. So I mean, that's also another thing. They're still human, or whatever, right? Still fallible, as we find out quite a bit.
Especially with the Clone Wars, and a lot of what I think about with this, with Anakin, came from that piece of source material in and of itself. The fact that we see so much more side of this, and Disney has approved this as canon too. But we've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi has loved, he's lost, he has poured his emotion for was it Satine, or was that the sister?
Wait, which one?
The Duchess on Mandalore.
Oh, no, it's talking about
it
Sabine?
was Satine.
Satine. Yeah,
Duchess Satine.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember if that was the Duchess's name or the sister's name.
Yeah, it's been a long time now since I've seen Clone Wars, so some of those minor, I wasn't a big fan of the Mandalorian, the new Mandalorians in the Clone Wars show. They're all like pussified and like not awesome and cool anymore. It was really a shame.
But Satine was the Duchess that we're talking about.
The Darksaber was cool though. I did like that.
Yeah, and seeing that on the live screen too, that the way that looks and the color and the reflection that came off that was really interesting to see. That's a part of the canon that I do hope that we explore a little bit more and see what happened with that, and how people have the focus even if they're not Jedi to do that. I've been looking at some of the things. Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru is here, by the way. It was said it was the gay flip that killed him.
That's what I laughed at earlier. Yeah, that's pretty funny. It definitely was the gay flip that killed him.
One of the things that's annoyed me the most, especially about the quote new trilogy that might be uncanonized as we go along here, is the fact that just about anybody could pick up and use a lightsaber. Now, obviously, there is it's a mechanical device. There's an on button, so anybody can come in here and light the thing up, as Han demonstrated in Empire Strikes Back to open the tauntaun. But to be able to wield it effectively,
right?
Rey and Finn both, to be able to just pick that up with no training whatsoever. I mean, that's got to be a pain in the ass to pick up something and swing it with no mass.
Right. That's the thing. Well, all the weight there, the only bit of weight is in the handle. It's like in the hilt. That's it. That's heavy itself. So to be able to, wield it like that, it would take an incredible amount of focus to stop yourself from cutting yourself off, cutting your legs off, or cutting your arm off, or putting someone else that you don't intend. It would be very difficult.
No, if Finn grabbed the thing and he was all clumsy about it, I could say, okay, cool. Well, it was just a little bit of chance that he was able to do so, but he's picking the thing up and holding it like it's whatever the melee weapon was that they were using. And they tried to explain it. Well, he was skilled with was it the spark saber or whatever it was. He was skilled in the stormtrooper's melee weapon.
It wouldn't be the same though. It's not even close to the
Exactly.
same. Yeah, that's like saying, okay, well, I can use a longsword, I can use a bastard sword, but that means I can also use a falchion, effectively, or like some kind of different sword that takes a completely different, amount of training. Like you have to train with them separately. You can't just pick it up and like, okay, I'm gonna use it the exact same way. Like, no, it's completely different. Like different amount of sharp edges, like different weight distribution, different weight. Like, there's a lot to take into account. I mean, a lot to take into account with it. So
Now
I don't think
we
it's
came to talk about the fall of Anakin himself from the light to the dark, and I think there's a lot of factors to this. There was, as I mentioned at the top of the show, there was a trend going around where people were saying that if you think that Anakin fell to the dark side because of Mace Windu or because of the Council or because of a host of other things and not because of his own inner nature was evil, then you've got another thing coming. And I have watched the Star Wars main trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the flip back to the light side, the Clone Wars numerous times at this point, and really honestly, I don't think it was any one thing.
right. Yeah.
If we had to go back onto one person specifically, I would say Palpatine pulling the strings behind everything, trying to get everybody to do the same thing. But there's a lot to this.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than just the loss of one's mother or anything else like that. And yeah, I do believe that he was predisposed to this based on his upbringing, based on things that he saw, and based on the fact that his big goal was to go back and free the slaves. And we even saw part of that in Clone Wars towards the end of the non-Disney seasons when that was his biggest goal, was to go back and free the slaves. But honestly, I couldn't even tell you what pushed him over the edge. If I had to say from canon, from the movies, I would say that the death of Padme was what pushed him over the edge. But, opening up and seeing, this is a guy that's been pushed to the ground, that's been shoved around, that's been told that he wasn't good enough consistently by the Council. There's so much. But what do you think first?
So I think the very core of it, even without Palpatine pulling the strings, he might have turned anyway, maybe later on than that. And especially if Padme had still died during childbirth. I think the very core of it is actually like his capacity for love. Like that's what really did him in, was his ability to like really love somebody, and then the fear of that being torn away, as it had in the past, with being his mother. He had the same thing, right? His mother and him had a huge bond. And so that kind of, she taught him, how to love and be compassionate and, help others and all this kind of stuff. So those were at the core of his being. And then that got torn away from him. When he was real young, he always thought like his freedom from slavery would also, his mother would come with him. And the fact that she wasn't able to, she was as good as dead at that point. Like that feeling that he had, he was losing her either way. And then to actually like have her die in his arms later on, that like intense amount of love, and then the fear of that being taken away, especially once Padme became the focus of his, love and attention. Like he doesn't want that to happen again. And that intense of an emotion, led to, fear leads to anger, right? We saw that. Anger leads to hate leads to suffering. He embodied each of those throughout the movies and the show at different times, to lead ultimately to his suffering as Darth Vader in the suit.
And they're definitely, and I've even looked back at some of the canon sources and non-canon sources, has been some suffering. I didn't realize that suit was made to constantly put him in pain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. It was supposed to be like a punishment for his failure to kill Obi-Wan, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And then he just kind of always was in pain. Yeah.
Well, from the way I understand it, he was actually offered, after a certain period of time in the suit, a more streamlined suit that was, more comfortable, able to let him move more freely, more quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and he turned it down because he was drawing his strength from the suffering,
Right.
from the raw emotion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but there's almost no rawer emotion than pain. So, I mean, yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see the Obi-Wan series, which, on top of that, I mean, Obi-Wan was always my favorite character in the entire franchise, so I'm interested to see it for that. But to see where they go with the story of that, because it looks like Christensen is going to be the Darth Vader for that, which I don't completely understand either, because, I mean, Hayden Christensen doesn't have that voice.
Right, and he's going to be in the suit, so what does it matter? I mean, like the original Darth Vader in the original trilogy was played by 3 people. It was like the guy in the suit, there was the voice, and then the guy in the suit after the helmet was taken off was a completely different guy than who had played in the suit the rest of the movie, or the rest of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it was like 3 different people. Like, why couldn't they do something like that again? It worked really well.
Randy says his redemption arc shows that he couldn't have been evil in his nature.
Exactly, yeah. It's his story is really one of good intentions going badly. It really is, because he started off with the most pure of intentions. He wants to save everyone that he knows from dying. Like, he wants to save, and you see that throughout the Clone Wars. You said you just watched that recently, right? You see, like, he goes to extraordinary lengths to save people from dying. Like, that's his main motivation for the war, even more than just like, it's not just like about wanton, slaughter or anything. Of course he's killing droids mostly, but he's not he's not at war for the fun of it. Like, he's there to keep the people that he cares about safe and not dead. And he often, risks his own life and others in order to save people. Like, that's his main thing. So yeah, no, I don't think he's evil at his nature. I think it's just that, like, his goodness was corrupted for evil, as opposed to him being pure evil. Like, Palpatine would be considered, I think, pure evil. Like, he has no goodness in him at all.
But could you argue, excuse me, a little bit of a cough going on there. Could you argue, though, that, I mean, even Palpatine in his quest for power was looking to protect the people of the galaxy, and, as he said in his major speech at the end, and to bring peace to his new empire?
Well,
I don't think that he was as evil as people would think, but obviously for both of us, the seeking of power in and of itself is evil, but I don't think that he was just a matter of, I'm going to use this to empower myself and enslave the people. I do think that there was a level of trying to protect that went along with that. I don't think the Sith is as evil as we were supposed to be binarily see it as.
Yeah.
During the Lucasfilms. I think that there's an aspect of this where this is just, how do I put this? It's the passion of it, and sometimes it comes out to a level that does get people hurt, but it's a passionate thing. It's not a bad thing always.
So I'm not sure. I don't think I agree with Palpatine wanting to protect the galaxy. Not so much, not at least, maybe it is, he wants to protect the galaxy, but not because he cares about the people in it, but because it's the galaxy, like, it's the resources that are around, is what he wants to take control of, what he wants to have power over. So by that, you have to protect it, right? Like, you have to protect it in order for you to maintain your power, or in order, that would be his motivation for getting power. Now, I know there was Yuvon Zong, I forget how to say that. It's been a long time now since I've read the Throne trilogy, but it was, said there that Palpatine was one of the few people who knew that an invasion was coming from the Uncharted space.
Okay.
The planet out there. That was basically what they used in Star Wars lore to, like, introduce new things that weren't there before. Like, oh, it just came from, Uncharted space. Whatever. Yeah, it's like this whole big pocket of the galaxy that just isn't explored. So you can put anything you want in there. You can put any kind of ex machina or anything in there. It's pretty useful, I think, for a writer. Like, But anyway,
Well,
so
hell, Brandon Brigg and Jerry Taylor on the Star Trek side made an entire 7-season series about that. The Ex Machina in the Galaxy.
Yeah, oh my god, I did not like that series either, but
I enjoyed it well enough, but uh-oh. The internet hiccup! The dreaded internet hiccup! We're back.
Alright, cool.
I gotta figure out if it's my modem or if it's my Ethernet cable or whatnot that's doing that. It's better than the laptop where that would have been a heart attack and that would have knocked us completely offline. Most people just saw the spinning wheel of death for like 2 seconds.
Right.
But yeah, we're definitely back here. So, but yeah, that was exactly it too, and that's what they used. That was the Ex Machina. So, well, yeah, exactly. Hey, here's this unexplored region of the galaxy.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. Yeah.
I think it was telling, especially in the canon films. Ron Helton has joined us too, by the way, with the Joe Biden sticker. Come on, man. With the canon films, where you would see some of the passion, some of the ruthlessness, the I'll do anything to protect the people that I love, was usually because there was always music going on in the background of the Star Wars trilogy. It was usually coupled with the slow bars of the Imperial March. You notice that if you watch the films. Anytime I killed him, I killed the women and children, which at that point, again, you've got the canonical, well, the Sith are always evil and they do evil things.
Right, that's not always true. Yeah, I mean, the Sith, like, it's not that they're evil, like, inherently, it's just they don't mind doing evil to achieve their goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's what it is. Now, some of them, of course, are, psychopaths and, I guess, sadists, who just do it because it's fun. But for the most part, that's not what all the Sith. They're just vying for power. They're just very ambitious, and they don't have any kind of scruples for the most part. So,
yeah, if I ever get caught up on my Kindle, I've got I'm still reading Sum of All Fears, which, with everything that's been going on over the past few months, that has taken forever for me. But I've got Starship Troopers after that, and then I think I'm going to read the Darth Bane trilogy. Dude,
I can't wait for you to read Starship Troopers. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, you're going to be like, oh my god, this is amazing. I have not read the Bane trilogy though. That'll be good.
I've got that sitting on my wait list. I actually bought the first book that I went out on a binge and bought a bunch of Star Wars books over the past few months, or either bought them or put them in my Amazon shopping list, because I know it's evil, it's wrong, but I do it because of my passion, and in order to get things done, I do use my Kindle. I don't use hardcover or copybooks.
Yeah.
Because I've always got the phone with me. I can always pick up a couple pages when I'm on lunch or something at work.
Right. I would definitely recommend the Thrawn trilogy. I don't know if you've got that.
Is it? Because I know a lot of the canon stuff now is comic books. So, is that a comic or a graphic novel series then, or
no?
Is that going to be an actual written one?
No, they're written novels. There's 3 of them written by Timothy Zahn.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if you want to play a drinking game while you're reading them, every time Thrawn uses the word sardonic or sardonically, or he says something sardonically, then take a shot, because you'll get drunk pretty quick. No, don't do that. Don't read and drink. That's dumb. But it's something I noted while I was reading it, that Timothy Zahn uses that word very often. And I'm just like, there's something I noticed as I went. He said sardonically, or it's really good. So you'll see it now too.
Randy's going to come in with the references of movies that I've never seen before. Randy Crush Saga says, I like to think of the Sith as the Slytherin and the Jedi as Gryffindor, or even the Order of Phoenix.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I would say that's yeah. So it's like this, the Slytherin, they're not all necessarily evil. They're just ambitious and will, get rid of anyone who's in their way of achieving their goals. And then, of course, you have the evil ones as well.
Well, and I think from what I've seen, and again, this goes back to a world building thing, a development thing, and what we saw, let's say in A New Hope when it was still just called Star Wars versus what we saw by the end of those movies that we don't mention, with the passion of everything versus like with Rowling. And I have seen and read Philosopher's Stone, so I can understand where that's targeted toward a much younger audience.
Yeah, it is.
Who has a more canonical, more black and white view of good and evil.
Yeah.
So to somebody who's only ever seen and read Philosopher's Stone, you could say, okay, well, the Slytherin are evil, whereas once you get to, what was the last one, Dark Phoenix?
No, 5 was Order of the Phoenix.
Was it?
7
Dark
was
Phoenix was X-Men.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Deathly Hallows was number 7 for Harry Potter.
Yeah, by the time you get to Deathly Hallows, now you start to see a more expanded view of what's right and what's wrong, and what's good and what's evil.
What I liked about those books, if we could take a quick aside, was how if you started reading them at the right age, like I think I was in 5th grade when I read the first one, like as they came out, like you grew up with the books, like you literally grew up with them, as in like they get more and more geared towards your age as you go. Like it was actually pretty impressive how she was able to do that. I'm not sure if it was on purpose, but that's something that I had noticed. Like it was always, material that was appropriate for the age that I was when the book came out. Like, so
it wasn't Deathly Hallows like this freaking thick too?
Oh, they're all After the 3rd one, they're all like mega thick, like 3 C's thick. Like 600-700 pages, 800 pages. Like it's huge.
Well, and my ex-girlfriend was the one that convinced me to go back and start reading the Harry Potter series, even though I've only read one. She was the one that convinced me to read them and watch them, because I said I wasn't going to watch the movies till I read the books. And, she said, oh, well, if you want to watch Sorcerer's Stone, then you could sit down and read that in an afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't read that in an afternoon. That was a pretty small one. But, I mean, it was also geared more for like a 10 or 11-year-old. They're not going to sit there and read a 700-page, book.
And you mentioned the age appropriateness of this too. I mean, when did the first one come out? I know I was in high school by the time they all came out, and I think it was late high school, because didn't they start in 2000? Maybe 99.
I think it was 98 or 99. I can look it up real quick.
Okay. Where's Jamie when we need him? Pull that up, Jamie.
Right? Oh, that was the movie. God damn it. The movie was in 2000.
Okay.
Wow, that's the complete series. Oh my god. Come on, Google.
Come on, Google.
1997 was the Philosopher's Stone. 98, 99, 2000. And then the 5th one came out in 2003. Then Half-Blood Prince came out in 2005. And then Deathly Hallows 2007. So yeah. I would have been 7 years old when the first one came out, but I didn't read it then. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, so that's what it was. So I was 10 years old when Goblet of Fire came out, and then 13 when Order of the Phoenix came out, 15 when Half-Blood Prince came out, and then I was 17 when Deathly Hallows came out.
Randy Crush says I was in 7th grade when I remember seeing the book.
Right, I was in elementary school when I saw the first one.
I think Randy and I are about the same age, because if it came out in 97, it was easy enough for me to remember the year I was in school versus the year, because the number of the year I was in school correlated with the last number of the year. Like the actual calendar year. So when I was in 1st grade, that ended in 91, 2nd grade 92, etc., up until when I graduated in 02.
Okay. Yeah, see, I graduated in 08. Mm-hmm. So a little bit after.
MK Ultra is here saying hi. Keep crushing, homies.
Sweet, will do, MK Ultra.
He's going to go do some government mind control stuff after this.
He just did that on me. He said, "Keep crushing it on me." So look at me, crushing it. So he's very compelling.
Looking back and looking in and seeing more of this too, and I mentioned the Clone Wars, that was a bit of a wake up to me, especially given the fact that the majority of that series was done under Lucas, not under Disney films. Was number one, the graying, the moral graying of everything that came out of that, because even coming up to Revenge of the Sith, you could tell that the writers in George Lucas's room were trying to tell you that the Jedi were good, even though I've got a lot of questions about that in and of itself, and the Sith were automatically evil. But there was a lot of graying that came out of the Clone Wars. A lot of graying. By the end of the season 6 of the Clone Wars, I would have almost said the Republic were the bad guys, which, me saying the government are the bad guys, that's nothing new.
Right.
But, I mean, looking in at some of this as well, and that's, where I look and say, this is the exploration of putting Anakin to the dark side, and was this even really a kid's show? That was one of the first things I determined before the end of season 1. I'm like, is this a kid's show? As, you had said that most of what Anakin killed in the Clone Wars series was droids, and I think you and I had a different experience with that, because I'm sitting here watching this. I'm like, oh, hey, Anakin just ran his lightsaber through somebody up in close contact in the middle of a conversation. Just randomly killed somebody.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't mean like that he only killed, droids, but it was mostly, mostly like the battles and stuff. Of course, you see clones die, but they're mostly faceless, right? They don't usually die with their helmets off, not usually. But, so you're just like, random faceless guy dies, like, who cares? That's what was kind of geared towards kids, and of course, like the droids being, goofy or whatever, and saying dumb shit, having stupid personalities, like that was really difficult for me to get over when I first started watching it, because it was so like infantile. I'm just like, that doesn't appeal to me. Like, that's not how the droids work. They're supposed to be scary, right? They're like, there's shitloads of them, and they're competent, but in the show they really weren't, at least at the beginning.
They were definitely more comic relief than anything.
Attempted comic relief, alleged comic relief, but and then of course you get, like you said, the moral graying of everything. That was really what appealed to me about the show, and that allowed me to get over the nonsense of like the droids sucking.
And they studied some very deep topics in that show too, like, why are we fighting? What is the point of this war? Did I actually get framed? The Ahsoka's framing arc was a big talk of, again, this is not a kid's show. This is, we're sitting here. Can Ahsoka can she fit herself in with the Jedi Order anymore? Now that they've done to this, is this moral for anything to do? But realistically, what kind of got me about that was how mature that version of Anakin Skywalker was versus how immature he seemed again once we pan back out into the canon film, which of course came before in Revenge of the Sith. Because he was very much an adult authority figure, which again, I mean, you're looking at this from the lens of a 7-year-old who's watching the Clone Wars and cheering on Ahsoka at that, but he's still, I mean, you see, and I can't think of the voice actor's name off that, but it was Matthew something.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
If I can type.
No, I thought that was interesting. That's also something that turned Anakin away from the Jedi and the Council. It disillusioned him because he saw how they treated, Ahsoka, even though she was innocent. And they just refused to kind of see that. Like that, he saw that they were themselves arrogant because there was no one to challenge them, right? They were not. There was no one to watch the Watchers, as it were. And so they kind of like, they were in their kind of echo chamber, and, the Republic were always yes men to them. So, who was there to challenge them?
It was Matt Lanter, by the way, was the voice actor for that. And yeah, there was a distinct difference between the Matt Lanter Anakin Skywalker and the Hayden Christensen Anakin Skywalker, even though, again, the Hayden one was supposed to be later on, was supposed to be the older, more mature. It seemed like he regressed back into a childlike state. I'd be curious how they canon that away.
They just sweep it under the rug and hope you don't notice. It's just one of those things that they made a choice, and it was a good choice, but the movie had already come out, so they couldn't address that in the movie. So they just well, fuck it, we're just gonna do it anyway, and it really worked. I mean, it really did. So.
And then, yeah, like you had said, a part of the attachment that went along with Ahsoka, became one of my absolute favorite characters in the entire franchise. She's almost up there with Obi-Wan with me, which, from some of the other videos that I've seen off the side of this, is she was supposed to be hated in the beginning for being cocky and crass and everything else, and then they built in a character redemption for her by the end of the second season. She realized that she couldn't go on and keep doing the things that she did. But again, this was a very, very deep attachment to a person, to another individual human being, rather than an attachment to life in general and democracy.
Yeah, fear of losing Ahsoka was another thing that was part of if you notice, I'm not sure if this is intentional, but everyone that he feared losing were all women. His mother, Padme, Ahsoka, back to Padme. It does seem like that was his weakness. But yeah, so it's something I noticed. I'm not sure if it was intentional or it just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that until just now.
I think that with his bond with his mother, that's what made him kind of easily, as most, have a bond with just women in general that he meets. I don't know. That may or may not be a thing. It's just something that I noticed. I was like, yeah.
We come into this and we find out that Anakin Skywalker is a simp.
Right. He's the ultimate simp. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to stop death, and I'm going to start this empire for you, my queen, and then she just dies. Yeah.
But I mean, going back and looking into that too, and with how do I want to get from beginning? I don't think that the dark side necessarily was something that he turned to. I think a lot of that was that he was always there, and some of it even comes down to a question of suppression to all of it. It's if you try to suppress emotion, if you try to suppress bond, if you try to do some of that, and there have been canon and non-canon sources as well talking about Luke and why he's able to have attachment and emotion and still not fall full on to the dark side. And it does seem that there's more ability for people to explore the dark side through the Skywalker school of Jedi, and also through the way that he learned to be a Jedi. I think he has dabbled a little bit in the dark side before, and it's not it's not a matter of don't become attached. It's a matter of figure out how to balance this in your life. But if we try to take you away from attachments, you're going to inevitably form attachments. If we try to tell you not to do something, you're going to want to go back and do it.
Right. Well, so this actually, I'm glad you brought this up. This actually, we can talk about some Jedi history here. So the Jedi and the Sith originally were one. They were one monastic order. And their whole thing was balance, being balanced between the light side and the dark side. So not going to one side too much. And if someone did, they were sent to one of the moons of Typhon, I believe was the name of the planet. There's one light moon, one dark moon, and so whichever one you were kind of leaning more towards, you had to go to the other one to rebalance yourself. That was kind of their mentality. And then I believe it was the Sith broke apart first. And then the Jedi kind of continued to they moved more towards light only and away from dark, as Jedi or Sith moved more towards dark and away from light. totally completely out of balance, which is why the prophecy was necessary of Anakin to restore balance to the Force, which he did by killing all the Jedi and then eventually killing Palpatine, who was the only other Sith Lord out there. And so now almost nobody is using the Force now. Like, you know, so he brought balance back in that way as prophesied. Really, again, like regardless of him trying to.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think along with that too, as we mentioned with the Luke Skywalker school, once the Force came back and once people started to be trained again, yes, they are introduced somewhat to the dark side. I mean, was emo Darth Vader, was he a Sith, or was he just a Jedi trained and deciding to use the dark side?
Darth Vader was?
Emo Darth
he was
Vader.
a Sith. Emo Darth Vader. Kylo Ren. Yeah, I believe he was a Sith. Yes. He was a Darth. Right? He had the no, he wasn't. He was not a Darth. He was Kylo Ren.
Yep.
So no, he was not a Darth. So I don't think he was a full-on actual Sith Lord. He might have been. He was aligned with the Sith for sure. Obviously, Snoke was a Sith Lord, so he was at least aligned with them.
A puppet of Palpatine, as you will. What a weak ending for a movie series,
Yeah,
too.
that sucked. So much dick was sucked with that. Oh, it's horrible.
The only reason I can justify the fact that I know that is because my sister pays for the Disney Plus and I was able to watch it for free.
Oh, that is unfortunate. I mean, at least you didn't pay for it, but like, it was horrible. Horrible trilogy. They're terrible. They look fantastic. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
They look fantastic, but no, they should have spent more money on the writers.
Oh, it was. Well, I mean, it's a J.J. Abrams thing. It's explosion and car crash every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and shitty. Oh my god. Oh, it's so bad. Don't stop putting that on my head, Ed. God. Don't need that. I don't need the memories coming back. I've kept them locked up. Press them as much as possible to bringing them back.
Well, we might have to become impassioned and, for the good of humanity, rid the world of the trilogy.
Right.
Of the sequel trilogy. By any means necessary.
Any means necessary, yeah.
It's not necessarily the dark side to go back and protect the people from such a thing.
Right, exactly. It's self-defense. It's completely self-defense. They're definitely aggressing. They have broken the NAP with their shitty movies. Alright, so it's perfectly fine to retaliate by any means necessary. Oh, man.
But, I mean, going back again to, the topic at hand of what we were discussing before, I think that the dark was always there. I think that there was always the risk of attachment. And, yeah, the shove it back now. Like, hey, you better not go fall in love with a woman. And,
yeah.
Or another one that I think was brought up with this is, oh, yeah, we know that you've been out on assignment. You haven't really seen a woman in 10 years. But here's Natalie Portman. Don't fall in love with her. That was
right. That was kind of a dumb move. Like, how do you not? Like, it's Natalie Portman. And I especially love, and there's an Attack of the Clones when she's telling him, we can't be together. Like, she chose like the sexiest outfit she could find in order to tell him that they can't be together. Like, what a cunt move. I'm sorry, that's shitty. It's a shitty person. Like, that is just horrible. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. She was just trying to keep him, coming along and just keep him. I don't know. I forgot what phrase to use there, but yeah.
Besides, it was Natalie Portman in 2000.
Right. Exactly.
She looks good now, for God's sake. And she's 40.
I haven't seen her recently. Let's see.
Yeah, she still looks good. She held up. Randy says, the question was, and especially coming out with Disney, is she a groomer?
Yes. Absolutely, and so is Palpatine. As we found. So yes, yeah, she was definitely a groomer. She was much older than him, and in a position of power, being senator. And then, yeah, oh yeah, she was definitely a groomer for sure. Yeah, she definitely ran that relationship.
It's kind of like the Weird Al song. We know that he is digging the queen, even though he's just 9 and she's 14.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Which, oddly enough, I think Hayden is older than Natalie is in real life.
Oh, probably, yeah.
I think that he is just a touch older than she is in real life, but there again, we've got that 5-year differential where they go back off to this. I had another question along with that, and I cannot think of what the hell it was.
Hate that.
Talking about Natalie Portman and what happened with that, and the fact that they did essentially go in there and say, hey, go to. Oh, one of the things that was brought to my attention, when I was still living in Kenosha, when I was still in my 20s, I was dating a girl that had never seen a Star Wars movie before, and we decided to start in the canonical order, not necessarily the release order. So we started episode 1, 2, 3 at that point. And one of the things that she brought up, and this has actually bugged me ever since Cheryl said this to me, was seeing everything that you've seen. Watching this kid grow up, seeing the way that he's done, the fact that he went out and slaughtered sand people, told you that they weren't people, kind of like how Midget B does with certain other ethnicities, but telling you that they're not people, telling you that they're animals. Why would you still have kids with that person?
I mean,
that was coming up in the beginning when we first sat back and watched Revenge of the Sith for the first time. It's like, after seeing all of this, why would you have kids with this person?
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, I think that she was just a young woman, and so as young women are, they're typically dumb. So, there you go. That would be why she was attracted to that. Not because he killed people, but like because of how strong his emotions were, and like obviously he's confident, skillful. That's attractive on its own to most women, and then also like he's got display of emotion, which I mean some women are into, especially if it's like angry and she's crazy. I mean,
I don't know, confident and skillful if that would fall in, because going back to using the animated series as reference, arguably Padme is more skillful and possibly force sensitive herself than Anakin was.
I don't know. I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, skillful in some things, right? Skillful in diplomacy, for one, would be something that she's more skillful in. But I mean, I don't think she was force sensitive. I hope not. At least they would do some shit like that, though. But I don't think so, though. That's one thing I fucking hate about the Star Wars. Like, even under Lucas, it was like, oh, you like this character? Well, he died. Oh, but he's not really dead. He's actually coming back, like 2-3 times sometimes. Like, just let him be dead. Like, they were cool. Just let them be dead. Like, I liked them when they were dead too. It's fine. Just let them be dead.
But when you watch, even in Attack of the Clones, Anakin and Obi-Wan are sitting over there chained up, with Obi-Wan doing his signature one-liner of, "Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, we came here to save you, Master. Good job."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Padme and Natalie Portman sitting over there pulling a hairpin out of her hair and unlocking herself and climbing up the pillow and like, "Hey, I'm gonna get us the fuck out of here."
So I don't know if you've ever played Knights of the Old Republic.
I have it, but it is janky as shit on my screen
Well,
because of my triple
BioWare.
screen.
Yeah, that's just the nature of the game. You have to deal with that. But the second one, if you're not familiar, there's a character named Kreia, and she's kind of like the philosopher of the entire game. and she was talking about like what it's like for a Jedi to lose touch with the Force, so like, they're not able to use the Force anymore. Because spoiler, I mean the game came out in like 2006, so. But anyway, the main character starts out the game not being able to use the Force because they've been cut off from the Force. And you slowly over the game as you level up, you regain your access to the Force. But she was talking about like how in some ways people who can't use the Force are better off than those who can, and that like because of their ability to use the Force, it cripples them as well as it gives them an advantage. Because of those kind of things, they're just things that they don't think about that they wouldn't consider, such as like lockpicking, like you brought up. Why would a Jedi need to learn how to lockpick when they can just use the Force to unlock something? Right? Like, why would you do that? So in that case, like, you wouldn't be thinking about that sort of thing. It's not like something that's just going to occur to you. Whereas if you don't use the Force, you would have to be able to do the same thing through other means. And so you might have noticed different things that a person who can use the Force for. Just things like that. So that's kind of what she was talking about, is that, that's why people who don't use the Force are also useful. Because they have a completely different perspective than, a Jedi would.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept to that, and I've been going through plenty of Quora threads like, was Padme Force sensitive? But there are also Quora threads out there that ask if R2-D2 was Force sensitive.
Oh my god! Yeah, I mean, I get that. But just because it's a kid show. And it's an action scene or whatever, and she can't be, we know how the culture even was back then. She can't be a helpless woman, unable to fend for herself, right? She has to be a badass as well. And that goes back, decades, even in television and movies. Right? The unexpected badass woman, that's a trope in itself. So I don't think that she's using the Force. I think she's just a trope. It's all that is.
My strong, empowered woman, my strong, empowered Padme.
Right, exactly. She's not some damsel in distress, to be saved from a tower guarded by a dragon, right? That's not. No, we don't do that anymore, and we don't do that anymore.
Oh, that's been everywhere in lore though too. Like, what was it? They tried to go back off and, hey, somebody's trying to get into this conversation. Did you share out the link? Did you share out the link?
With one individual.
Oh. Do I know this person?
Yes. You like this person?
I see a name up the top that I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's weird.
Yeah. Let me send you a message here so you can tell me who this is, and I'll tell you what I can see. Okay. Well, yeah, right. I knew what that name was. So let's.
Right. Hey.
Hey.
How is it that you keep crashing my live streams over and over again?
She's devious.
I needed to talk about big meat.
Said you wanted viewer questions, right?
I don't know what else is going on, but I was like, you know what? Before all the food processing plants burn down, I need to talk about big meat and its impact on your life and mine.
Absolutely. Let's hear it. That is kind of weird, though, right? That all the meat processing plants and stuff are going down, all the food plants and stuff are getting fires and planes and explosions and
burned down by my house or out here, like yesterday.
I heard about that one. I didn't, because that didn't get on the stories that I talked about the other day. Because it hadn't happened yet when I talked about it on, I think it was Friday. But yeah, I just heard about the General Mills. I don't know where that is, where the city is, but I was going to ask if that was close to you guys. I was going to ask Katie about that tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it was by it was kind of, I think it's closer to where I live now than where we're moving. I'm moving over to by where we were all hanging out. Remember, like over at when we all hung out at? Like,
yeah, when we were at Katie's house. Yeah, Katie told me you were moving to the same town as her.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like over, but like 10 minutes. But I think it's closer here. So I had to jump on as soon as I saw John was coming on. I was like, John, you have to let me crash this. Like,
yeah, I was on the fence about it until she told me what she wanted to talk about, and I was like, all right, fair enough.
I have no makeup on, and my sister just flew in from Seattle, so I'm gonna go. But thank you so much for being a good sport, John. I love you so much.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
All right, see you.
And then there were two. I thought that's who that was when I saw that name pop up at the top. I thought that's who that would be.
Yeah, you know I wouldn't just share it with anybody.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were gonna be seeing Midget off of that too, because I know what Midget's actual name is. I'm like, it's that, but is that what we're hearing, or is it going to be something else?
Right. Oh, why am I full screen now?
Let me fix that here.
Yeah,
because of
please.
because of the speaker view for having three people on, I full screen it back out.
Gotcha.
Because remember, my C920 webcam is what's feeding out to everybody else on OBS, and you're seeing my C270.
Aha. Gotcha. All right, so where were we before we were so rudely and hilariously interrupted? I'm just kidding, Britt. You're awesome.
Randy says she needs her space battle mage to save her.
Space battle mage?
We're talking about Padme, yeah.
Padme, yeah. He is kind of, they're kind of paladins, aren't they? Jedi? If you had to give them a D&D, yeah, I think it'd have to be paladin, because they're highly religious, and they're good healers, and also do a lot of damage. They can tank. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Fallout nerd, so paladin has a different meaning for me than it does for the D&D ones.
Oh. What is it? Enlighten us.
It's one of the ranks of the Brotherhood of Steel, and they're not necessarily the sage.
Well, they're not the good guys necessarily, unless you want them to be.
Well, it depends on which coast you're on.
Right, exactly. That's true.
For Brotherhood of Steel, East Coast Brotherhood of Steel are kind of dickheads.
Gotcha.
And West Coast Brotherhood of Steel are kind of chill, kind of cool.
Right.
Maybe it's all that weed in California, or as we say in the Fallout universe, the new California Republic.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So it would definitely, Jedi would definitely be paladins. Wizard knights. No, they're not wizards. Paladins can cast spells. Come on, Randy, crush. Whatever. Or Randy. I mean, I know what I'm talking about. Ron Helton.
Yeah, Ron Helton's got to take off. Thanks for coming in here. He's got to get out there before the storm hits. It's a nice balmy Florida day here, but it's gonna get fucking cold again tomorrow.
It's been nice here, man. April's been super chill. Oh, look, Highleaf showed up. What's up, Highleaf?
Well, we'll go for a little bit longer since we've got some viewers coming in now. But I was going to say, normally we'd just be about wrapping up right now. We've given the hour, but now that we've got Highleaf here, we'll go for a bit more.
I don't mind.
What other questions did I have about that? We were talking about lightsabers before, and the dark and the light, and especially with the fact that most of the people on the Twitter trend seem to think that Mace Windu was solely responsible for the fall, but there's talk about the fact, and I don't know because I haven't delved that much into the kyber crystals, that Windu himself was a dark side user, which you know, given some certain demographics off of that, he's got to have some dark in it.
Right.
13 and 15.
Well, you know, there's a lot of pressure for being the only Black Jedi, right? But anyway,
but one of the questions that...
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize it froze. Holy shit. That was crazy.
Yeah, it froze for just a second off of that. One of the questions with that, though, is, you know, with the purple lightsaber was supposed to represent that Windu had knowledge of the dark side, but was able to control it. That's why he was able to get the one fact.
Right.
The fact of the matter is being, of course, that Jackson himself came out and said, "No, motherfucker, I'll only go do this film if you let me wear a purple motherfucking lightsaber."
It was a good choice, too. It looks good on him.
It does. It absolutely does.
I don't know if you know this on the hilt, though, on the little switch. It says BAMF. Yeah. Yep. Which is, of course, a reference to that fiction, you know, thing. His wallet had, it says badass motherfucker on it. Yeah.
I've not seen it on the screen, but I've seen the prop in like a Google image. So
yeah.
I don't know if it was shown on the screen or not. I
don't think it was. It was for him. It wasn't meant to be on this movie. It was for him. But yeah, so yeah, he was able to control his dark side. Like, so he kind of learned how to like toe the line and get almost like use his, you know, negative emotions like for good, as opposed to the opposite. You know, like we were talking about with Anakin, was the exact opposite, right? Using his positive emotions out of love and compassion, and using that, you know, to do evil. He kind of did Mace Windu did the opposite. He created his own lightsaber form, which is like kind of like a style of fighting, called Vapad, and it was using like the dark side's lightsaber form, but using it better. So he's using those emotions to focus, like I was talking about with Obi-Wan defeating Maul. It's the same kind of deal, right? He's just channeling that raw emotion into focus and allowing that to win. And then, of course, he's got to be able to suppress that again as soon as he's done. So obviously that could corrupt most people, but Mace Windu is Samuel L. Jackson, and Samuel L. Jackson's a badass motherfucker, so he's able to do it. Yeah.
Well, you know, even going through and finding some of the lightsaber color choices that go along with that, and you know, questioning at some point why certain people had the colors that they did. Like, for instance, by all means and measures, you would think that Obi-Wan himself would have a green lightsaber, as he was the more sage, more analytical side of the Force, but yet he carried blue throughout his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
Or why Luke went from blue to green.
Right.
As he grew up in the Force.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you follow, like, this goes back to Knights of the Old Republic, that game. Wasn't there's two of them. That kind of gives you the standard is, if you're, you know, because they've given it to an RPG, so they're giving you different classes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is, you know, if you're like the Guardian, like the Jedi Guardian, you're focused more on combat rather than force powers or skills. You get a blue lightsaber. You know, if you're more concentrating on like skills that don't have to do with the Force or fighting, you know, it could be anything, then you're a Sentinel, Jedi Sentinel, and you get the yellow lightsaber. Or, you know, if you're focused on the Force itself more than fighting or anything else, you just focus completely on the Force and, you know, diplomacy and that kind of thing, then you get a green lightsaber, right? Because you are the what was that one? Shit, I'm like blanking on this. Of course, when like I know all this stuff, and then no, it's a Jedi Consular, Jedi Consular, yeah, or Counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck! Now I gotta look it up again, make sure I get it right. I know it's a Consular, Counselor.
Well, and I just learned a lot of this myself off of this too, because I actually initially thought that your blue meant that you were full Jedi, but your green was like the training color to indicate that you were a learner.
Mm-hmm. Right, no. It's more about, like, at least maybe not canonically, although you can kind of make an argument for them fitting into those classes. But when KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic came out, that kind of became like the standard. Is that it just kind of indicates what your class is, but it doesn't have to. Like it's not it's like a cultural thing. It's not like a law or a rule. It's just like that's typically what happens. So there's really almost no meaning, no actual meaning put into who's got what lightsaber. It just kind of looks cool.
Unless it's red.
Unless it's red, right? Red is the only one that exclusively is used by the Sith, but it's because they don't control any of the planets that have the crystals. So the red crystals are synthetic. Those are not actual naturally occurring crystals. Those are all like man-made, essentially. So that's why.
And I learned some of that before. So I got into some of the lore because I learned that from Lego Star Wars. In fact, because if you wanted to use the Sith powers and you were creating a Jedi, a character off of that, all you had to do was give character a red lightsaber, and poof! Now you suddenly have one that can use Force Choke and Force Lightning and Dark Force.
Right. Yeah,
Lego Star Wars is so fun. I gotta go play that game.
I've never played any of the Lego games. I've heard they were really good, but I'm like, I don't know. I've just been kind of. I'm not sure why I'm not willing to try it, or why I wasn't willing to try it, but I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot sometime. I don't know. It's never really appealed to me.
If you're able to go even retro off of that, I've played the later versions of Lego Star Wars on like PC, Wii, etc. But I really enjoyed the way that they did it for GameCube, even though because of the hardware limitations, they had to split it up into 2 games at the time. Because you can't just do the complete saga because there's not enough room on that little teeny tiny GameCube disc. Right.
Yeah, that thing was weird. The GameCube was cool, but like I don't know. I never owned one myself. I had friends who did, but like I don't know. I didn't like the little itty bitty disc. I was like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just standardize disc size? I mean, I don't know. This kind of bothered me.
I gotta get a capture card because I would love to sit down and play GameCube Lego Star Wars on stream.
That would be cool, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun game.
Yeah, capture card would be cool. I don't know anything about that, like how it even works. But I mean, I've got an N64 out in the living room. I've got an original Xbox, and I've got an Xbox One. Like, it'd be kind of cool to play some of those, on stream. That'd be really cool.
Well, what they do is it's a US. Well, the one that I'm looking at is USB. I think you can actually get a feed card to go on the desktop too, but you can get a USB card. You plug it into your USB port, and it's got the RCA jacks on it, like you would plug into your TV, your red, blue, and yellow.
Okay, cool. All right, that makes sense.
And then that feeds that into your your processor, so that's how you capture.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, I'll have to look into that because that would be kind of fun. That's some classic games, the N64 and original Xbox, so it'd be kind of fun to do.
The one that I have bookmarked, it's like 70. Well, it was $70 before inflation took hold. I haven't even looked to see what it is now, but it was like $70. I got it from I got it from McLeod's description because it's the one that she uses when she does retro gaming.
Nice. Fair enough. Yeah, I would trust her with what works.
All right, I think that we're about wrapping up here, and I think the interest in the stream has waned. We've dropped back down to 4 viewers, so surprised Errors didn't show up to tell us that the deep state was going down.
Right. I'm surprised you all didn't show up to be like, well, actually, you got this fact wrong or whatever. No, I mean, he wasn't. Well, let's see about that.
So, before we head out of here, I also I want to bring the announcement up here because I promised that I would, and then we got carried off in conversation. And the fact that I slept until 5:08 and completely forgot that I was going to make this announcement today. But part of the culture side of this is a little preview of how things are going to go. Although it's not going to be live streamed, it's going to be heavily edited when we do this for the movie channel. But I am making a new YouTube channel. We're not even going to do this on the old YouTube channel. But I am in the process right now of making a new YouTube channel that is going to be strictly for movie reviews because most of you guys have told me that I need to watch more movies, which I probably do at some point here because most of you bring up a movie and I have no idea what it is you're talking about. So, all my friends are going to come on and at some point and talk about a movie with me, and maybe we'll get some new people, some people I haven't met before coming in to talk about a movie with me as it gets more popular. And I am going to select people from the community that was friendly to me before because that's one of the things is if you go through and do movie, video game stuff, you're going to see a different crowd come in. You're going to be promoted on YouTube differently, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But I still want to stay with the people who are friendly with me when YouTube was not friendly with me. So I know you said that we're going to watch Master and Commander once we get started.
Oh, yeah. I got a few other movies. I got a list that we can do just for me. So, like, you're not going to have any kind of shortage of content, I guarantee it. Because there's some movies that I'm, like, really passionate about that we could have some great discussion on. So, even if it's just, every once in a while, once a month or twice, I don't know, a couple times a year, whatever it is. Like, yeah, I'm down. I've got movies we can review.
The only thing with me is I don't know how I'm going to get all the content out in a timely fashion because I'm going to be editing it with clips from the various movies as well. Which again is part of the reason that I'm doing this on a separate channel because the copyright police are watching me now. Yeah.
You got to be careful with that.
They don't like that. They don't like the fact that a certain Mr. Ignoramus said something about the 2016 election being totally fair and above board and secure on stream in Georgia.
Right. True. Yeah.
And I'm getting copyright blocks. Not just you can't monetize this. I'm getting outright blocks left and fucking right now.
Oh wow.
Like, it is insane how many times I've got this. I used a clip from Chappelle's series, not a series, but his stand-up special, The Closer, when Seawall was on the Red Net Show, when it was still the Red Net Show. We were talking about that, and I used a clip, an audio clip, from Netflix itself. Straight from Netflix. We did the Space Jews joke, and wondered how all the censors police completely missed that one and went to talk about the transsexual stuff. I played that clip on the air, and they just said, oh, well, you can't monetize this video. I went to YouTube the other day and pulled a clip of Taylor Tomlinson, because that was thing that I like for contemporary. That video was completely blocked off the internet. Under copyright claim.
Yeah, we had that recently. I forget which one it was. We get a copyright claim every week on the Porch Boys, almost every week. There was just one time recently that we actually had it blocked, and we had to go in and actually clip that part out in order to have the stream come back.
I've gone and done that with all the ones that I've get, but yeah, I get one of those almost every week now in contemporary. They're watching me. Yeah. Google knows I exist.
Right. The overlords know you're there.
Highleaf says, so out of all the known Jedi, who do you guys hate? I'm in the camp of fuck Rey.
Well, yeah, but Rey doesn't count. Like, that's not real. Those movies are not real. They don't exist, and they do not count. So if we want to go with the actual canon, let's see. Who do I hate? One of the Jedi that I fucking hate. I'm not sure I feel that strongly about any. I mean, I hate Hayden Christensen, but like, right? But like, Anakin's kind of a cool character. No, it might be Anakin. It might actually be Anakin. He's so whiny, fucking emo. He's so emo, in fact, that at one point in one of the books, Darth Vader, like, this is like after he becomes Darth Vader and has a suit and everything, he's fighting against someone, I can't remember who it was now, and they're like, who do you hate so much that gives you so much power? And he's like, myself. It's just like, all right, dude, fucking be careful with that razor, buddy. All right, let's not, not make rash decisions here, Darth Vader. Calm down, dude.
Be careful with that razor.
Yeah. He's so fucking just emo and like, And you just, it's so dumb. But I mean, I don't know. After like talking about it tonight, like in excess, I don't know. I guess he is a lot deeper than I thought, but it is definitely very, very emo. Like he's, yeah. So I would say probably Anakin. Maybe, not Luke. I don't think there's any other ones. Like those are all the prominent ones, right? Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, which I love. Qui-Gon Jinn. He was my favorite one for a long time. Yeah.
I'm gonna say right off from the bat, from the introduction, Barriss from the Clone Wars rubbed me the wrong way. Just rubbed me there was something about her that I could not. And then, of course, she turned out to be the one who betrayed Ahsoka in the end. But just right from the introduction of that character, she rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, I don't know why I don't like this character. I just don't like this character.
Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that for sure. Hailith has a really good question I would actually really like to answer. Do you think Disney should have done the Thrawn trilogy instead of the dumpster fire? Yes. 1000%. As soon as they were like, oh, all the expanded universe is not canon anymore. As soon as they did that, I was like, oh, they're done. It's garbage. It's going to be garbage. Whatever it is that they make is going to be garbage. Because there's a plethora of like lore there that they can use. Tons of stories. I've said this for years now, since the first one, number 7 came out. If they needed to have a female lead, like if that was like absolutely just vital for them, they should have picked Mara Jade. Like, it's an amazing character from the expanded universe, and she's got a depth of character. She's not Mary Sue, right? Like she starts off on the dark side, gets saved by Luke, which is probably why they didn't use it. Why they didn't use her. But like then gets brought back to the light side, and then she's a complete badass. The whole time, like she's got a whole redemption arc. Like the story would be amazing to see on the theater screen, but no, we get fucking Mary Sue, like the blank face, no emotion, Rey. It's garbage, and we get shitty writing, shitty characters, and I'm not gonna say shitty acting because that's throughout all of the Star Wars movies, right? So fine, that's just fine. I get you, but. Yeah, I mean, everything else, though, it's like, there are so many compelling characters to use from the expanded universe that they could have most of the script was written for them already, just from the books. Just copy what they said, and you're going to win. It could have been so simple. So simple.
And the expanded universe it's a touchy one, too, because if you look into what expanded universe was, even prior to the Clone Wars movies, that era of things, I mean, there already was an expansive. I remember, I cannot. What was the name of the book? There was a. It was. I got it from the book fair when I was in elementary school. The Vampire State Building. You remember how the Scholastic books had advertisements for other Scholastic books at the time when we were kids? They had advertisements for them in the back. There was like an extended, just an entire page just of Star Wars books, and that was before. Phantom Menace ever came out. So yeah, expanded universe has been there forever.
Yeah, no, it's been there since practically the beginning. Like, probably not, quite, but very, very early on, there's been expanded universe stuff because why not? Like, it's amazing, and they got really good writers. If I'm not mistaken, everything had to be approved. Like everything that they did had to be approved by Lucas himself, like personally. So the stories were consistent, everything was, good to go. It wasn't any kind of like, oh, we have to like retcon this. So sometimes that would happen, but it'd be minor things that would be retconned. I believe at one point Chewbacca gets killed, which would be fucking awesome to see. And I know we got to see Han, but Han killed himself basically. I know it's like he killed himself basically because he pulled the lightsaber into him, while looking, Ren Solo or Kylo Ren or whatever the fuck in the eye.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, emo Darth Vader, which Darth Vader was also emo. Like that's what I was. It's so bad. Yeah. Anyway, I guess it skipped a generation, the emo-ness. But yeah.
Did they though? Really?
Luke wasn't emo. Luke was the better version of Anakin, and that he took that ability to like love and be compassionate and use it for good, as opposed to letting it corrupt him. And so he had the same kind of. He also had the piloting skills and mechanical skills that Anakin had as well. The inherent,
but Luke wasn't in Ben Solo's bloodline. Leia was.
Leia was, but she wasn't like that either. She wasn't emo. But no, Luke is his uncle, right? I mean,
yeah.
So he is in the same bloodline. It's the same. They have the same father.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Daisy Ridley was cute, but that didn't make up for how bad the Mary Suing was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's fine. Okay, I don't think that makes the movie better. Doesn't really make the movie better at all.
It makes it more watchable, at least.
I suppose. He wanted the Solo character to die in the movies, not before 7. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. Thrawn would have been a better bad guy than Snoke. Oh, for sure. Because Thrawn was actually fucking a genius. Genius tactician, genius strategist. That was his main thing, was, strategy and tactics. And that would be amazing to see these, resistance fighters, like the New Republic, which are brand new government. They're, still recovering from a war, and then boom, here comes the most, successful admiral from, the Imperial Navy, and like, here he comes fucking your shit up. You're like, oh no, what do we do? And it like, he doesn't even get killed by anybody in the New Republic. I'm not gonna say who did it, but like, in case you haven't read it, but
I haven't.
Yeah, right. He doesn't get defeated. Let's say, like, he's just never been defeated, and it's absolutely insane. Those books are amazing. They could have made 3 movies out of that, and easily, without even trying.
I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that to my my Kindle list. So.
Yeah, Timothy Zahn is the author.
Oh, that's pre that's the era that I was just talking about not that long ago too. The the glove of Darth Vader and stuff like that. That's that same kind of era before Phantom Menace, long before Phantom Menace. Because the first one was written published in 1991.
Yeah. So the Thrawn trilogy was written, way before the Phantom Menace or whatever.
Oh, they're gonna cut off my Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I just saw that. Remaining meeting time. Uh-oh. You not pay for a Zoom? Is that what it is?
I actually, they bumped it off because I keep forgetting to go back in and renew everything. I lost my debit card and my credit card expired. So I actually had to go back and what the fuck was I saying? I had to go back and change everything, and that's the only one that I haven't changed the card number in yet. So.
Gotcha. I guess you're gonna do that now, huh?
Yeah. Well, yep. That's gonna happen now because now they're starting to interfere with stuff. But I think with the warning here, we're gonna start wrapping things up. I think we're gonna start finishing things back out of here. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of it. That's gonna be. I don't know where I'm at wrapping this up. Seeing that pop up there that just completely threw me off.
Right, off my rhythm. Timer. It's like how fast can you wrap this up? You better hurry up. It's gonna cut it off.
And I was looking to see if we could get a retweet and get some more viewers into here. And I saw that you're familiar with the Aimless Gamer and Caleb Schumatt who are both in wheelchairs. They're making jokes on Twitter about leg day.
Well, that's funny. I like that.
They're going back and forth with each other. I'll link you the thread over here before I start doing the outro off of this. So, It's funny. It's funny. All right, but with that, we're gonna head out of here. Let's finish. Let's get the other music up here. Love that playlist, by the way. It's short, so like it's no good for contemporary or anything else off of that. But is that your first hearing of the Star Wars lo-fi playlist?
Yeah, I don't usually listen to lo-fi, so I mean, not because I'm against it. I just don't normally listen to it. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool though. It's just close enough to the songs where you know that it's those songs, but then it's copyright free, I'm sure.
Yep. All right, but we're gonna head out of here. Thanks everybody who came by, chatted in the live chat, kept us going. We're gonna do this more often again. I don't know if it's gonna be guest driven like it used to be, but we're gonna do more of this because I don't spend enough time giving back to the fans here. So I'm gonna head out of here for the day. We're gonna go do what it is that we need to do, and I'm probably gonna go renew with the Zoom call because there's probably a bunch of other stuff to talk about and everything else out of here. Or I guess maybe we'll be in voice. It looks like there's gonna be some voice chat going on in the somewhere on the Discord because Hylink is saying that he needs to be over there. So that could possibly
I don't know that I will though. I've got the husbandly duties to take care of, I think, for the night.
But with that, I'll be back here to Monday for more contemporary. We'll be talking about the food processing plant fire in Georgia now, apparently. We'll be talking about that one as well, including some other stuff that happened over the weekend. That's going to be a good time. We'll see what's happening with that. John, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me every week, every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, the best time zone, on The Porch Boys. That's D-A Porch B-O-I-S. The best name, I don't know if you've heard, best name for trying to tell people where you are, because you have to spell it out every time. So The Porch Boys podcast. We have a lot of fun over there. We kind of, get drunk and look at memes and articles and videos. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it. Might be a little biased, but I recommend it. You can find us on Twitter. We have The Porch Boys Podcast, or The Porch Boys, at The Porch Boys on Twitter, sorry. At The Porch Boys on Twitter. And I have my own personal Twitter account. If you only like me, you can just follow me on John _ I can't even talk anymore. John _ Archist. Holy shit, I got through it. So I do, I talk about mostly politics and, anarchist stuff over there. But I mean, hey, if you, contact me and you want me to talk about Star Wars or some other thing, I can do that too. I'm open.
It's a good time, and, maybe you'll see him get banned once again for talking about killing babies.
Right, I kicked a hornet's nest of baby killers the other day. That was a lot of fun. I got 12 hours in Twitmo for that. It was fun.
All right, and with that, we're going to close out the stream. Thanks everybody out here. Look for us for the next Ed Talk as we go back and talk about some other topic and take listener questions. We'll be back next time. Join me here for Contemporary on Monday morning for that. We will see you then, and as always, thanks for coming by, thanks for listening to us, thanks for asking questions, and thank you for coming to my Ed Talk. Take care.
Nice.